Today with Pratik from Symphony AI. They are the latest winner in the AI Excellence Award winners, and Pratik's going to walk us through the Iris Foundry, where enterprises can really put AI to use. So, Pratik, welcome to the Winner Circle and congratulations on the award.
Thanks, Russ, for having us, and I'm really excited about the award as well.
Yeah, now I got to interview one of your colleagues from Symphony AI, and it was really interesting because you guys are actually taking enterprises through this transition into the AI world and helping them get tangible results, not just kind of theoretical kind of plans. Um, Walk us through the Iris Foundry and kind of the elevator pitch on what you're doing there.
Sure. Well, so first of all, Iris Foundry is a product of Symphony AI. And just to give you a quick background on the company, we are Symphony AI is a vertical AI company, and we're focused on financial services, retail, industrial, or manufacturing, and media. When we talk about financial services, we focus on anti-money laundering and especially around fraud detection using AI. In retail, the products are more on the shelf intelligence. And restocking using AI, and industrial, which is where the Iris Foundry product is. We focus more on helping you solve your manufacturing predictability issues. We help you with agentic AI as a part of that. And then also, let's say, predictive and prescriptive maintenance solutions. And then media is where we focus more on, over there we have a product called Revidia, and focus more on your revenue management using AI and your subscriber management using AI. So those are the products. Now, Iris Foundry, which is part of our industrial manufacturing vertical, it's a governed industrial system of intelligence that orchestrates data, workflows, and AI agents into a closed loop action. Right. So the plants can not only just predict the issues, they can resolve them, they can learn from the outcomes, and they can focus on the reliability, the production, the quality, and then the connected frontline operations.
Yeah, now you've spent years kind of in the automotive business, kind of deploying AI. And I imagine you've seen the consequences of when technology fails. How does that shape the way you think about deploying AI inside of these manufacturing plants or inside of these vertical kind of customers of yours?
Yeah, look, the industrial systems and these environments, they're complex, data-rich environments which require great speed. They require resilience and precision as well, right? So, what is very important and key when it comes to industrial, especially when it comes to manufacturing, and depend again on the use case that you're doing. It could be focused on, let's say, on problem solving with respect to predictive maintenance or asset monitoring or demand forecasting or supply chain. Depending on the use case, there's several elements that you have to take into consideration, right? So it starts with unifying your operational data. It starts with bringing in your workflows and understanding the workflows, and then doing the AI-driven decision making across the full life cycle of the use case. So it begins from engineering and production, and you can take it down to quality, to maintenance and supply chain operations. So when we talk about Iris Foundry, and one of the things that we inherently started building upon is, rather than positioning it as an AI platform or a predictive tool, we built it as an orchestration layer, right? And that's something that we did it based on my experience when I started building Iris Foundry. So the goal was to connect the systems, the people, and the decisions all together. So it integrates the data, it integrates the plant systems, it integrates your engineering tools, your sensors, your enterprise applications. So it brings all of them together into a single interface, and then it basically applies AI, uses the agentic AI, and then the decision intelligence across all these different streams of data, across all these processes. So that's what results into a reactive and proactive, complex problem solving. But then your decisions now become much more, I would say, real time with full contextual information, and you can even run simulations on them.
Yeah, and you mentioned this is a closed loop kind of system, and I know most AI vendors, most of them are kind of promising the predictive insights that most of us are getting out of these platforms today. If you load in enough data, you can get pretty good information out of it. you're doing something a little different with this closed loop system in that you're not just predicting the problem, but you're resolving them. What does that actually mean in practice, like on a plant floor, if you're a manufacturing plant or something like that?
Yeah. Look, when it comes to Iris Foundry, we have expanded the capabilities of it from a standalone system, which is just getting the inputs and showing the traditional dashboards, to now agentic workflows with real-time simulations. And it does have the deep integration into your industrial ecosystems in the cloud. But these integrations and the advancements with Iris Foundry, they allow the manufacturers to model the scenarios, visualize the outcomes, and then orchestrate the decisions across both physical and digital environments, right? And that is a key to getting to a closed loop system. And as a part of that, you might get performance advisories first, but then as you modernize your operations without replacing the core systems, that's another key, right? You add a unified intelligence layer that measures your improvements in different variants, right? And then provides you the capability to act on those on that intelligence, act on that decisions, and bring it all together. And that's, I think, where Iris Foundry goes in to the extreme of where it's capturing the continuous improvement as the user is taking actions. And then rather than delivering an isolated analytics or predictives, it integrates directly the work that you've done or executed on the plant floor back into the platform itself. So it's learning from the actions that the user is taking, and it's learning from the predictive analytics that is happening, and that becomes a, think of it as a feed of data back into the platform itself, and that's where it results into this deep analysis and a closed loop action.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because we were talking about this earlier. Um, there's this AI impact that's being had, especially on kind of intelligence workers, right? If a lot of the intelligence is in the AI now, you need fewer intelligence workers, especially if those intelligence workers are just doing tasks,
Mhm.
online. But it's generally this online world, this computer world that we've been worried about. With IoT and robotics now, we're talking about AI actually implementing kind of human tasks. How do you see innovation kind of tackling, you know, kind of some of those bigger problems in the world with kind of that IoT robotics lens?
Right. Well, look, when it comes to domain intelligence, right? There is obviously this goal of bringing in your raw data, right? And that data could be coming in from your processes. It could be coming in from your robots. It could be coming in from your external or internal systems or upstream and downstream processes. All of that, right? Now, what action gets done on that data depends on the reasoning and the operational constraints, obviously, that you have set within that. So I think where Iris Foundry comes in is it uses these agentic workflows to coordinate the multi-step industrial processes, right? And a good example would be, let's say an anomaly is detected in an equipment, and it can trigger from there on. When it comes to Iris Foundry, it can do a root cause analysis. It can generate a work order. It can check the parts availability. It can identify, let's say, a maintenance window on when that particular asset, which has given an error, could be fixed based on the production schedules, and even hand over the action to a robot, to a quadrobot, let's say, to go in and look at and inspect the asset on where the error happened, and then finally hand it over to an operator through collaboration tools to go and fix or do the maintenance. So each step gets governed, contextualized, and is auditable, but at the same time is backed by the data, which is flowing in back in through each step and acts as a segue into the next step from there on. And that's how the things come together within the platform.
Now, your nomination cited some pretty astounding numbers when you guys apply this. So you're
Mhm.
looking at, double-digit reductions in downtime and cycle time reductions. Those are really meaningful numbers, especially to on the manufacturing floor. If you can get a 15% reduction in downtime, then means you can produce 15% more product that day, right, with the same
Right.
amount of people. So it's a immediate productivity gain. What does it actually take to kind of actually achieve that? What does, successful deployment look like versus one that stalls?
Well, there's different elements, right? So a successful deployment doesn't just mean a 15% uptime, right? Successful deployment can have different meanings in different worlds, right? And depend again on the use case. But Iris Foundry's predictive models that come, which we call system models by default, and the real time intelligence which is built in as a part of these models, they empower the manufacturers to predict the anomalies, right? To predict the inefficiencies in the system, to help improve the OE as a part of the system, and then you use all that information with the platform to reduce the unplanned downtime, right? And that's where the elements start to begin to play and come together. So the unified industrial data ops layer, which is consolidating and bringing the data from your IT, OT, and enterprise and engineering data into a single source of truth, and then creating what we call as a cortex or a knowledge graph on top to get you a deeper in view onto all your data and its relationships, but then at the same time reducing the complexity on the data from a human perspective to understand what happened, why it happened, and how it could be let's say cleared or clarified, right? So together with the knowledge graph, the cortex, and the co-pilots, which is like a ChatGPT style interface with context-aware decision guidance, all these work together to provide the actionable insights for the operators, for the plant managers, with full insights to go in and make those decisions, right? And that's what comes together as a measurable business value.
Yeah, now you've hit on something big, which is that data source. To me, their data, even in my own business, is siloed. Between kind of the website and sales and marketing and operations, all this data is all over the place, and especially in an organization as big as a manufacturer, I can't imagine the amounts of data that are going into there. Um, One is, you're consolidating all that information and cleaning it up because it's never real clean.
Yep.
I found it's never clean. Um, how are you getting the manufacturers to kind of trust that AI layer sitting on top of these legacy systems that have been engineered, to an infinite value of human precision? How do you get them to trust that new kind of mechanical Turk sitting on top of all their stuff?
Look, the operators, the plant managers out there in the field, in the plants, they have been getting the value out of the data forever, right? Only the only difference is in the past they were doing that in their mind. They were doing it with experience. When you go in and turn a dial or increase the temperature in a boiler, what it produces, they were still doing that simulation in their mind and say, okay, if I increase it by 2 degrees, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now the difference is with the agentic AI, with the data which is coming in, the reliability rules that were earlier running in the mind, coming and putting them in together, putting the production constraints on top, the quality lineage in place. I think once you bring all that context together, you're able to not only just go in and make better decisions, but at the same time show the reasoning behind as well. So when it comes to Iris Foundry, one of the key things that we focused on, and you'll see that even when you ask a question, for example, to a Copilot, hey, what happened in this alert? It shows you how did it arrive to that conclusion. It shows you full details of, hey, I'm going to call in this agent, which produced this result, and I'm going to call the subsequent agent, which is going to act on the data from the previous agent, and then get you the final result, right? And why and how that result is relevant and how it was, let's say, produced by Iris Foundry. So the key over here is that it incorporates both the governance, because the user might or might not even have access to that data, but a traceability at each decision step, right? So that ensures that the operators, the plant managers, the engineers, they understand as a result, they can get a full visibility on why an action was recommended and how the outcome from that action feeds back into the continuous improvement as a result of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're taking the human out of that process, which is good because you get more process, you get more productivity out of the process, generally speaking. I've noticed in my own AI that that works really well to a point, and then often the AI will get kind of uncreative, is what I'll call it. It won't start to continue to solve the problem in kind of a workaround way if it runs into a problem. I know you guys launched Iris Forge as kind of this no code application creation tool for these teams. Walk us through kind of what that is and how it kind of solves that kind of creation problem for the guys on the plant floor.
Yeah. See, Iris Forge is definitely no code, but it's much, much more than that. Iris Forge allows you to go in and use natural language to go in and build real-time applications within the platform. So once you have connected your data, once you've brought your data into the Iris Foundry, once you've contextualized the data within the Iris Foundry, now you could use Forge, which is the top layer, to go in and build applications. The notion behind the Forge was we have been talking about dashboards and reports all our life. But the dashboards, even though they are drag and drop and companies have provided all these tools, they're still limiting. You can only do so much. And they're unidirectional, which means that you can only see the information from a dashboard, right? That's why it's called dashboard. An application is a bidirectional. So when an event happens, for example, what actions need to be taken on the event by the operator, they need to be added as well. And that action needs to go back and get stored, and certain subsequent steps happen after that as well. So that's why it's an application. So what you could do now with Forge is using natural language, go in and build these applications and deploy them with one click. And these applications could be persona driven, these applications could be use case driven. So on the same set of data, you can have multiple applications for different personas. And what we also did is with Forge, we went one step further, where we did a training on even the NVIDIA Omniverse libraries. So you could go in and build a whole 3D map of your plant using Omniverse and be able to see where the error is, what's that anomaly or the issue happening, and what could be done as a next step to fix it, and have a real live visualization on that as well. So that's where the Forge is proving to be really helpful and next gen when it comes to building these multi-purpose bidirectional applications.
Have you seen one of your customers deploy something that kind of blew your mind a little bit? You didn't kind of
Quite a lot. In
was
fact, every time I am with a customer, I am with even on my own team, and they show me some of these applications. It is just amazing on what is possible now that even I couldn't even imagine. One of our customers, they just recently they're into energy segment, and they just recently built a CNC machine monitoring application, real time, and they're into turbine manufacturing. And what was very interesting was they were bringing in the CNC machine data, but they were also bringing in the environmental data at the same time, overlaying all of those as with an app, doing a multivariant analysis, kicking in the AI models on top to do the analysis, and then giving the operator all the details in a very simple, readable English format, because the operator doesn't care about all those nitty gritty AI stuff. And then giving him clear instructions on what to do next, which was just amazing on what all could be just packaged up. And because he was the operator, the view was very, very simpler. But the same application, when logged in by a data scientist, he was doing full analysis, full traceability on how that the particular decision was made and what was the elements behind. So that was pretty cool.
yeah. I imagine there are some really amazing applications that are coming out of this. You came from the automotive world. Are there other kind of manufacturing industries where AI adoption seems to be lagging?
So automotive is definitely when it comes to in-cabin AI, or when it comes to now the self-driving, automotive definitely is adopting AI. But when it comes to manufacturing, because of the cycle of the way the automotive industry works, and once the a particular model or a car variant goes into the production cycle, they don't typically like to touch it for 3 or 4 years till the SOP is there. So it works on a very different cycle. So the AI adoption of the manufacturing is very different. On the other hand, when you're looking at oil and gas or CPG, they're much more resilient to go in and try things, adopt the AI at a much more faster pace. So we're seeing a lot of interest from oil and gas, energy, and CPGs at this point. And what we have done is also gone in and proven some of those use cases, right? So that's another reason. One another segment where I see a lot of AI, and it is a combination of IoT as well as vision AI combined together with arriving decisions on that, and that's utilities. So in the past, when you had power lines going down, there would be people who will be going out with flashlights in the middle of the night and checking, hey, which power line went down. And now they're sending drone data directly into Iris Foundry, where we're using Vision AI to do a quick analysis on which power line went down and inform as a result back to the operator or the field agent on what's happening. And all that is done autonomously through the drones, bring the drone information, bring the live information of the grid, and doing the analysis on top. And it's a very cool use case when it all comes together.
We're definitely living in the future at this point.
Yeah.
As you know, having worked in telecom networks most of my career, it's having that amount of capability, not sending a human, sending a drone, knowing what's wrong, having this type of mapping just sounds like a dream. Because when I got in there, they were still paper maps and they were out of date.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you another example, right? So we have a customer who's in a cement industry, and in the past, the production of the cement they would measure, and they'll bring in these adjusters and people who would go in and see the amount of the cement that has been produced, which was placed outside in these big mounds, and they'll have their own method of measuring how big it is, and they'll have acres of land where they'll put these cements and sand pre-mixed to measure the production. Now they just simply go in and take a drone, do a thermal scan, an imaging scan of the area, send it back to Foundry, draw the whole thing as polygons on top, and they're able to calculate the area and see how much the production was for the day. So it's a whole different world of how you can bring in the data, but at the same time utilize that to enable new use cases on that, right? And that's where Iris Foundry and Forge really shines, where not only are you able to go in and do your existing use cases and do them well with better decision making and adding the closed loop, but you can now enable new use cases for your operations and continuously keep on applying the AI as a part of that.
There's so much change coming into this industry or into manufacturing. It's mind blowing. If you're a plant operator today and you're a leader in that sector and you're listening to this episode, what's the one thing you would tell them, to start learning and understanding about what AI can do in a facility and what to expect?
I think as the AI, the adoption of the AI is increasing, and as the manufacturing systems are becoming more interconnected and volatile, the point solutions, and the predictive dashboards, they're no longer just sufficient, right? What's required is a continuous intelligence that can sense the conditions, that can coordinate the decisions, and drive the actions as a result of that. And I think that's something that anybody who's looking at bringing in a data operations platform with AI should look at from a new point of view.
Yeah, Pratik, thank you so much for joining us. This is a fascinating conversation. This orchestration layer is really sounds like the post office, right? It's like everything's coming in and out of there. It makes total sense instead of these kind of harebrained AI that I'm doing these days. If AI, agents kind of spawned all over the place. So congratulations to you on all the hard work and all the success that you guys are having.
Sure. Thank you, Russ. Thanks for having me.